Hi guys. So today we're going to backtrack a little bit. We've been making some faces, but I probably got a little bit ahead of myself. And today we're going to deconstruct that face even a little bit more by doing some skulls. So what I recommend is that you find a picture of a skull online, find some reference images. Something like this is kind of ideal, where it's not a profile shot, but not like a straight on shot like this. This way we get to see all of the little detail stuff on the side of the head and everything that's going on. But chances are you're probably gonna want multiple images. So what I would do is just do a little bit of an image search and grab a few different references to work from, because it is going to be helpful if you have multiple angles here. So the way that we want to start this is you want to grab a big chunk of plasticine and you want to roll it into a ball. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add a little bit more on one side to get sort of this head shape here. So what we have is we have kind of like a ball, and then I just built off of that ball to get this jaw here. So I just added a little bit of plasticine and pulled it down so that we now have this head shape. And then from here, it's just going to be a matter of reductive carving and adding some things. So the way that I would approach this is, once I had this basic head shape, I would start to remove some plasticine here to start to get my eye holes. Now, there's going to be a bunch of little nuances here for this skull, such as like the shape of these eye holes. They're not going to be perfect circles. There's going to be a lot of little things as you go along that you're going to see will make this look more or less skull-like. But what I would do is I would kind of start off basic here and get this basic shape of our skull. And like I said before, you can find anything you have laying around the house to use as tools. I have this. It's like a skewer for the grill to make some shish kebabs. But I'm gonna use this to start drawing in where my teeth are gonna be. And just like drawing, it's gonna start off kind of rough and loose and sort of sketchy. And as we progress, it will start to look more and more like a skull. But I'm actually going to use this to draw in parts that I need to remove. And this is going to sort of give me a little bit of a guideline to follow. And I won't go through this whole skull because that would take a while. But I just do want to show you kind of a rough game plan here for what you want to do. So it is important that you get all of these little nooks and crannies that happen in the skull, because that's what's going to make it look kind of lifelike and kind of accurate. So as you are looking at your references, it's important to take note of all of these little subtle curves and things that happen in the skull, because the skull isn't just like a perfect sphere. It has all kinds of stuff going on in it. And we're going to get all that stuff by removing clay here and there. We can dig these eye holes out as deep as you want them. Then we can also add up around them to get like this brow ridge And again, we can use those same techniques that we've talked about where we're layering. And that's what's really going to bring this skull to life. Like I said, those little subtle things. We are adding little bits of depth here and there. And so I really want you to take this as a pretty in-depth study of the human skull to really learn the shape of it here, because it's going to be really helpful in creating those character faces. Because it's going to really help you to understand the structure of the human face. This will help in drawing too, because drawing people, drawing faces can be really hard. And the reason oftentimes why it's really hard is because we lack a really good understanding of the shape of the skull. But this is going to be a very helpful insight into the shape of the skull. And so it's going to be a process. It's not going to look like the skull right away. You're going to have to really work at this one. You're going to really need those reference pictures. But we will eventually get there. So this is the assignment. This is what I'm looking for. Obviously, I'm looking for it to be a lot more developed than what I just did here. But I'm just kind of showing you this process, and that it's not going to happen right away. It's going to take a little bit. And you're going to really have to start carving away at some stuff. You're going to really have to start paying attention to some of these little details. And just like a drawing, it's not going to happen right away. It's going to take time. And you're going to have to really get in there and kind of work to get these little details of the mouth. And like I said before, use whatever you have available. Or if you want specific tools, you can always let me know and I can get you those specific tools. But very often we can just find stuff laying around the house that's, you know, just as useful. So these are the basics to carving our skull, and you can see that even in just this little amount of time here I spent with you, this is starting to look very, very skull-like, and that is what we want. So I want you to really take time and really develop this and get it as accurate as possible. I don't want to just see you sculpt a ball and then carve out some eye holes and say, here's a skull. I would like to really see all of the little nuances here. And I want you to get this to look as proportionate and really just as lifelike as you can. And like I said, take your time on this. It's not going to happen immediately. I'm going to give you a little bit of extra time on this assignment because I really want to see you push your sculpting skills here. And I really want to see you dive into all these little details and get this looking as skull-like as possible. So I am, just in a matter of, I think we're at about 10 minutes here. So in just a matter of 10 minutes, I pushed this skull pretty far and I got something that's pretty accurate. Well, you know, it's on its way to being pretty accurate. So this is a great start. So, you know, this is kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for you guys to really, really explore all of these little details here so that you're really accentuating these like ridge lines for the cheeks and getting all the curves, oops, here we go, around the nose, and getting all of this little detail work in the hinge for the jaw and the opening between the jaw and the teeth. And I want to see all this stuff, and I would like you just to, again, try to get it as accurate as possible. So really take your time on this. This isn't even something that has to be done all in one sitting. You can, you know, start it and then come back to it and then stop and then come back to it. It can be a process, especially because I said I'm giving you a little bit of extra time on this one because I really want to see you push this. And I would really like to see you get this as detailed as possible. All right, so hopefully you know where to go from here. And you guys can just kind of jump into this and just start playing around. And a lot of this is going to be trial and error. It's going to be digging stuff out. It's going to be adding stuff on, figuring out exactly what you need in order to get the angles and the ridges and the holes and all of that stuff. So like I said, it's definitely going to be a process. So don't be afraid. Especially don't be afraid if it doesn't look like a skull right away, because mine didn't look like a skull right away. It's a process. You really have to build it. So it'll start off looking like a very cartoony skull, as mine did. But then as you start to add things and as you start to work on that little detail stuff, it is going to definitely come to life. So thank you guys for watching this. I look forward to seeing all of your skulls, and I will see you next time.